Hey there, AfterBuzzers. Welcome to the Magician's After Show. We're talking alternate timelines, mirror universe, multiple Joshes, and we have the one and only Arjun Gupta, Penny, going to be Skyping in with us, so stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Yes. Now that I know you guys looked at me sideways for picking this song up top.
I look at you sideways.
But I'm just saying, like, once upon a time I was falling in love, and now I'm only falling apart. It was really like a through line for everybody.
I gave you a
this episode.
justification. It's
You
like
did.
Quentin has a total eclipse of the heart.
Yes.
He does.
I was just waiting to hear the good explanation. I'm like, I'm going to let you explain it, and then I like it. Hey guys, welcome to the Magician's After Show. We're talking about episode 11 called 23, which is almost confusing because then you're like, wait, not episode 23. My name's Kari Lane and my awesome co-host.
Hi, I'm Joelle. The song, it's just great. It moves me.
Okay.
Adrian.
Hi, I'm Adrian Snow.
And then what's up? Welcome, Arjun.
Yay! I'm so excited.
What's going on, everybody?
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us and staying up late because we know you're over on the East Coast.
Yes, ma'am.
It's a late panel, but I'm glad to have you with us.
Of course.
So how has season 3 been for you compared to the last two? Because we've talked to you on the other seasons, which has been awesome. So what's this season been like for you?
Yeah, I think this has been our best season yet. Hands down, from a creative process, from an experience standpoint, I think the scripts are the best they've been. I feel the performances are the best they've been. It just kind of felt like the show hit 30. And what I mean by that is that when we walked in from the first episode, the writers, it just felt like they were unapologetic. They just knew what the show was. They weren't trying to be any other show. They were just having fun and yeah, I think just letting loose. So it's been great. It's been really great.
Sweet. And actually a small, off of that, how has it been to being able to see the show now with all the swear words included?
Well, so I've been traveling a lot. So I've been in India for a good part of the last few months. And so I've been tweeting blind. I watch the show. They send us the show. So I watch it. And it's nice to hear the curse words. But I've also been, when I'm in the States, been in DC and I've been with my parents. And it is super interesting to hear fuck a lot while I'm sitting next to my mom. I will be honest, it's a little jarring for me. And tonight when, she was calling her Tinker Bitch and the Egg McMuffin, which is a great line, but I'm just sitting on a couch between my mother and my father, and that's just, these are new experiences we're having as a family.
Yeah. Did you guys have any questions up the top?
So I know, a lot of times, do you guys get the full script, or are they only giving you guys your scenes?
Oh, no, we get the full script. What is that nonsense? This ain't game.
So then my question is that, are you ever... Because you've almost died or seemingly died in so many episodes. Were you ever the hell, guys? I
mean, there was a moment, I feel like early on where I might have taken that personally. Come on, guys, did you like me or not? No, actually, because of this episode in particular, I had a couple conversations with John and Sera and Henry to talk about what does Penny 23 look like? Yeah. What are my thoughts on the character? What would I like to see? What were they thinking? We really wanted to make sure. It was like we were doing the pilot again because this is a completely brand new character. So, we wanted to we just all wanted to touch base. So, yeah, for this one, this was an experience where we talked. And chatted, and it was lovely conversations and beautiful collaboration. And we were interestingly, I hadn't talked to them beforehand, but just reading their script and then talking to them, it was interesting that we were both coming from a similar place as what we were interested in exploring with Penny. But otherwise, I mean, I trust the writers to do their job, and they kind of trust us to do our job. So it's kind of like we just kind of roll with it,
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you that, but it seems like this Penny 23 is more well-adjusted, should I say, or less angry, like in general, just in terms of, it's very brief the time we get with them, but I was like, oh, I can definitely tell this is a different Penny we're encountering. And I don't know how that sets up, how you guys set up those different timelines, but...
Well, I'm glad that you noticed the difference because I definitely wanted it to feel subtly different. You know, not like I didn't want him to feel like all of a sudden he was a different human altogether. He's still essentially Penny. And as I understand, the timelines diverge at the point where the Beast came, or like that at getting into Break Bills, it's around that time.
Oh, okay.
So up until then, you know, we have the same roots, for example, to use an analogy. So, you know, I wanted him to be, I don't know if I wanted him to be more adjusted, but I wanted him to have seen some shit. You know, I wanted him to have experienced through the Beast something else, and maybe be, maybe just understand the cost of things a little bit better.
Okay.
Is what I was kind of interested in exploring, a version of Penny that understood the cost of things and maybe wasn't so impulsive because of that, and maybe was a little bit more hardened, a little bit more adult, a little bit more wise. And look, I mean, maybe none of this will actually come through. I'm actually kind of curious to hear what y'all thought and what you guys picked up on. And that'll become more relevant as we spend more time with him. But yeah, that was kind of where I was thinking.
Nice.
One thing I noticed between the two, and I made a note, was when Penny and Josh are talking, and he's essentially protecting Julia of, like, you know, if you become dangerous and hurt Julia, is that regardless of the timeline, Penny is a hardcore lover. He will defend the person he loves no matter what. And it was interesting seeing him with Julia because I don't think we ever really thought that as a ship.
The chat was wondering how you felt about this moment. They were all very shocked about Penny just rushing up and kissing Julia.
I wasn't. I was like, oh, he's going to kiss her.
Adrian always knows.
She always knows.
Adrian, you gotta stop being smarter than everybody else.
It's a problem. It's a problem.
So, I mean, I was definitely surprised. I wasn't expecting that aspect. You know, I read it in the script. I mean, they didn't talk to me about it before. But it wasn't completely surprising for Stella and me, only because Stella and I first met working on a pilot that Sera wrote. This was in 2013. It was she was working with Taylor Hackford. Taylor Hackford had been hired by CW to kind of take an Officer and a Gentleman and turn it into a TV series. And it ended up turning into, Sera came in and turned it into, it was kind of going to become about a Navy town, and the inciting episode was going to be a rape that had happened. And Stella and I were the romantic leads of the show. And so Sera has seen us in that before, and I think that she was excited about an opportunity to kind of play with that again. That's kind of how she, so it wasn't a complete shock to me to see that. I was like, oh, okay, because she's talked about that in the past. I mean, I never would have imagined these characters together, you know, but it is a really interesting combination to me. It is a really interesting combination, especially this version of Penny and this version of Julia. Penny 40 and Julia 40 is not as interesting to me. I don't think that's like I don't think that's like a good mix. But this version of Penny, I feel like that could be really interesting, what they could learn from each other.
This version of Penny's been super exciting. Mostly because we've seen Penny question all of his decisions in a very hefty manner, in a way that's like, it's not like get on with the decision making, but it's painful to watch somebody who like has so much potential inside them like linger for so long on like, what do I do and where am I going and who am I becoming? But this guy was like, no, I'm not asking you, I'm just gonna come back and I'm gonna give you some time to realize that you're kind of in love with me, so it's cool. I'm just gonna wait. I was like, damn, Penny, we haven't seen this side of you since like season 1. It was like, amazing.
This Penny is like an adult Penny, and then other Penny, I love other Penny, but he's kind of like a fuckboy Penny.
You know.
Well, yeah, okay.
But you know, but not Katie. But like he has love for Katie, but it's just like every now and you're like, Penny, what are you doing?
He's a little bit. He's grown. you have a younger Penny 40 is much younger.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
emotion, like much is but I think that's what's been thrilling about that this season with Penny 40 is that especially in episode 10 when we meet him, and that growth, and to I think to really that heart that you mentioned, that lover, you know, I talk about, it's just his heart. Like I think he's a really open-hearted, at his core, really sensitive, open-hearted human.
Yeah.
And we get hints about this thing with his mother, you know, that obviously caused some trauma that has put guards and defenses around that.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think that in Penny 40, we see that most truthfully. I think he finally really accepts that about himself with Sylvia. And that was what's really, to me, really beautiful. And we're seeing this with Penny 23 in you know, and Penny 23, I mean, you know, he obviously, you know, he feels a lot of guilt for whatever happened with Julia. We don't know exactly that whole story. So there's more to find out about him, but I do think that we see him starting off at a more adult place.
Yeah. Something, Ty was unable to make it because he was sick, but he was curious about the knotless tie you have. And I can't remember, and I wish I'd rewatched the episode, but he said he was curious if it was almost symbolic too, of like it's not tied down or something like that, because the other one, it was such a neat, intricate tie, and this is such a different one that he has. Not in this episode, but otherwise.
So Magali and I, we had an interesting time with the suit. I mean, when we first came in, you know, Magali and I kind of went really Penny with a suit, and it was like the sleeves were ripped, and like, you know, it was baggy and like untucked, and it was very like fuck you to the idea. But John was really wanted to tell the story that he was growing, you know, or had like accepted things, and I actually really got on board with that. So I wanted the fuck yous to be more subtle. So I think that the knot tie, it's two things. One, honestly, I'll be completely honest, it was just really cool. It's called the Onassis knot. It's very simple. You tie a double Windsor instead of threading it through. This is my imaginary tie.
It works.
Instead of threading it through, you just thread down, and it's just a straight line, and it's very simple and actually quite classic. But it also is like a "you don't own me" from Penny. It's a subtle thing, but I'm really glad someone picked that up. That's cool.
Oh yeah, we noticed. We loved it. We were just like, I wonder if there's more to it.
Knotless tie, amazing. This game makes me like want to demand every person who wears ties to step up their game. Why are we tying the same tie every day? It's boring. Stretch your imagination.
There's so many knots I didn't know this until, I mean, I had no idea until Magali and I started looking, and we were just like, we just Googled stuff. It's crazy how many ties. Rick Worthy now only, and like this is off screen and on screen, only ties his ties that way.
Oh,
wow. Nice.
I love that.
Yeah, he's great.
So we'll start getting into a recap of what happened in this episode, and then if I know some of it, you know, were you in? Did you go to set at all and watch it if you weren't in that segment, or did you stay? You only go on okay. That works.
Do you go to work on your day off, Kari?
No, we asked Fen when she was in. We asked Brittany, and she said
for certain things she was
certain things she wanted to go in.
I think if she was working that day, and she happened to not be in the
on that scene, Okay, so at the beginning, we have a really quick. Margot and Elliot weren't in. They had two great bits. We get them kind of getting caught up on everything, and they're all wanted in the fun little wanted poster. Because then we got Q and Alice.
I liked that. Oh my gosh, all the names are escaping me. Have you seen the wanted poster from Tangled?
Yes.
Yeah, it looked kind of similar, particularly
Flynn Rider.
Yeah. Yeah. Not Q, but I'm having the worst time. Elliot. Elliot looked a lot like Finn Rider's sketch, and I was like, what's happening here? Anyway, I'm just a Disney head. It just
I love that scene. That's a good one. With the... Oh, yeah, we have a little bit of more cool info with Julia saying that replacing the wards and shields at Brakebill is because her power is growing. So that's kind of cool to learn that how it's growing, because she was like, I think it grew because I was helping the fairies.
That is amazing. The idea that, because it felt like she was kind of going to be on the slow growth path. Like, you know, the more she experimented with it. But now the idea that any magical creature could kind of just bestow her with additional like sprinkles of magic. I feel like Julia's power is endless.
More
I
from
think
being
it's more
helpful.
that as she does good deeds.
Yes.
So, like any good deed with anybody, that is amazing.
Like a like.
Even Marina,
being
the
a
like
good god or
you have no
something,
headaches and I fixed your.
I want to create like a good place board. I don't know if you've seen The Good Place, but at the beginning of it, they give points for like your sins and your good deeds. And I'm curious, like does killing the beast in 23 make a difference? Like, or like what to what point degree? Is that like 1,000 points, 100 points?
But she didn't kill him. He killed himself.
Yeah.
She led him to it. She walked him right up to that knife and was like, whenever you're ready, here's my shade. Feel really, really bad.
Yeah.
And kill yourself. Exit, stage left.
Oh my gosh. It reminds me of a play I did.
So we get the fun Tesla flexion back with Julia and Josh, and then that's first when we get the other Josh, and I'm all mirror universe, and I was all excited because that's on Star Trek a lot.
The only thing better than one Josh is two Joshes.
That was entertaining.
God, I love Josh.
And then that's interesting when we get the magic's gone, but the beast has it, and then we're all kind of like, so how does that work? How much did we like that reveal of who the beast was in this world?
I liked it so much. So much. Because okay, guys, mirror universes is like everything to me. I love time travel and stories, but it's so frequently done in a horrendous way. It's just like, what if this person was just slightly different?
What's the horrendous way?
The horrendous way of doing, I'm trying to think if I can give like a good example of terrible time jumps. But usually what'll happen is like, it feels like very lazy writing instead of like, what is an actual whole story arc a person might have taken? It'll just be like, this person wears red shoes instead of brown, and they kind of like that person instead of this person.
So it's
without any
like a Street Fighter version of time travel where it's like
just a different outfit.
Ken,
yeah,
and then the other person's Ken, then one's wears blue and the other wears red.
But they're the same, and it's super challenging to write it well, I think, because you have to go back into your character's roots and then give them like plot out what happened to them, adjust them, but make them still feel the same. It's like, it's a very challenging fine line to walk. And this show did it so well. The idea of Q becoming that's the thing he idolized his whole life. Like, it almost feels like that's how it should have really happened in our
he would
world.
Eventually become the Beast.
Yes, it's so good. I wish we could have spent more time with him as the Beast. Like, what is he doing in his day-to-day life? Like, what?
Killing and collecting things in his fanboy collection.
Alice Without Her Shade was super fun to watch. We got several episodes out of it. I would love to just travel with Q without his shade. And now, because of the time loop, we can, maybe, if we feel so inclined.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of was like the Buffy episode where they have the alternate universe where she doesn't become a Slayer.
Yeah.
And you get to see her like
just a regular
a nice tie-in to like the movie where she's just like a valley girl and she's kind of vapid, and then like Willow's a vampire, but not to that extreme. So it was more of like, these are just the small subtle things that happen when your life goes off track. It's like if you go into many worlds theory of like, each significant choice or moment splits off, and so you're constantly creating like different versions of yourself and at different points.
And what this episode does too is like, not only does it answer a lot of questions, give us a lot of new questions, but also did one of my favorite things, which is it switched Quentin and Alice's roles, which is like, for a couple we've been following for so long who can never be on the same page, to see them trek the same track into different time streams, timelines. Yeah, it's just a whole bunch of fun. I even like the fact that like Alice, like, she lost the fingers and now she's working with the rabbits, is like
and
stacking
as a radish smuggler.
It makes sense that she was inspired by Quentin's desire to bring her back without the shade, to do the exact same thing, and that basically she had the exact same problem that he ran into of like evil Alice. And
it rekindled my love of this ship. I was done with the ship. I was like, let it drown, and now I'm like, bring it back, and I'm ready.
I like your nodding and facial expressions over there, Arjun.
This is really interesting to me.
Yeah, the line I really enjoyed too is once we see Q, Josh is pretty much like, I'm getting sick of plot twists.
Yeah.
I thought that was so funny. I'm like, hold on, I need to pause and write that down. I appreciate that the writers said that.
Getting meta.
I wasn't surprised. I was surprised, but not surprised at the same time. I was like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. Like, it was one of those like, oh, good one. Like,
is this a classic Adrian saw it coming?
No, I didn't see this one as clearly, but when because I guess, I probably looked down at my phone briefly when it cut to him.
Switch? Oh.
Because I would have noticed, like, oh, he's like a smaller, Jason Ruff has a smaller frame than the original actor who played the Beast. And so, But when he blocked it and it came back as Quentin, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like my brain was like,
well then
you become like the very thing you fear the most.
Yes.
You know? And so.
Yeah, I liked how he kind of says that he just used the beast's, everybody, you know, like the legend of it as his own thing, pretending to be it. Yes.
Princess Bride
Maddie is fudging Beast in the chat says, can we talk about the Harvey Weinstein comment? I cried.
Oh, yeah, you
so
got
timely, so fast. I feel like y'all couldn't be recording that long ago. How long have we been dealing with? It made me question a lot. Like, how long have we been dealing with Harvey? And when did they film / write this?
Yeah,
like
September.
I think so.
I mean,
it's been a minute.
We'd have done this. We would have been shooting this in October or November, to be honest.
Right.
I think it was end of September.
So y'all were right on top of it.
This show has such timely writing. And of course scripts kind of, there's like the basic and then there can be adjustments. Are there many adjustments on this show where something will happen in like the current pop culture or political climate and then they're like, wait, we need to add a little line here or something?
No, I don't think we're that specific.
Okay.
You know, we're not that current. I think that Me Too has been Harvey's been a big story for 7-8 months. So I think that, you know, I mean, the most timely references that I've thought from this season, was it even Hillary Clinton and, was that last year? Whatever. But like those things, they usually hit the really big things, or then they hit things like kaiju or different, or like the Game of Thrones references and stuff like that. So it tends to be, if it's current events, it has to be big enough to be more timeless than a few weeks. But if it's, and again, I'm not one of the writers or in the writer's room, so you take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt. This is my understanding.
But you're the actor who's there who receives the script of like, wait, we've made adjustments, so.
Sure, I'm also the guy that doesn't catch half of the references, so.
Oh, you're not like doing like super nerd deep dive of like, wait, what is this?
What does that mean?
No, I hadn't watched Game of Thrones when I did that episode about Game of Thrones. It was remarkable.
Yeah.
But you
didn't have to know it either, so.
Yeah, my girlfriend made me do a deep dive, and I went deep dive. Like, whoa.
It's a good girlfriend.
I watched seasons 1 through 4 in a week.
In a week? How did you come out emotionally?
I didn't have a job at that time. I'm not easily affected by blood and gore. I used to watch horror movies as a child, so it doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's unfortunate.
There's very little that affects you, Adrian.
Yeah.
A lot of things affect me, but just not blood and gore.
Actually, well, I was going to say, speaking of gore, we get the other part with Margot and Elliot, and how much did we like that? That was some good gore.
I loved it, and then I hated it.
Shocked me.
Yeah. I mean, Elliot's, you're like, okay, that's kind of gross. And then Margot pops up, and you're like, oh, yes.
I never want to see them that upset ever again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It did a number on me emotionally. Because they're my favorite coupling. Like, their love for one another. Like, he's like, where's my Bambi? I'm like, I don't want to see evil ghosts like Elliot. It's just sad.
Actually, that was a ship we kind of joked that Margot and Penny.
Oh, yo, seriously, though. Can we talk? Like, that ship needs to be a... it doesn't need to be a ship. I don't care about that
We called
personally,
it
but
something
I think
else. Not a ship, but a
a raft.
A raft.
It was a raft.
That's funny. I just love working with Summer and any that I could. That I think, and it's, you know, I think that those two, again, probably more Penny 40 and Margot 40 than necessarily Penny 23 and Margot 40.
Yeah.
But the Penny Margot dynamic would always be pretty fun to me.
And Alice too. There was like little bits of that.
Alice,
they already had their thing.
I know, but it was kind of a fun ship as like another alternate possibility. Penny's just, you know, the playboy who gets around.
I feel like since it's season 4, I can like throw this out because I don't think it's going to come into play, and I don't know that anyone agrees with me on this, but I kind of thought from the book, I thought there was a like a Harry Potter analogy between if James take all characteristics of these characters out and just take the relationship dynamic between these 3 characters into account. Mm-hmm. If James would be Quentin and Lily would be Alice, then Penny would be Snape. Because I thought about why is that dude in the books never found any love? Like, why is, I mean, he can't love books that much, you know what I mean? In the books, I'm talking. In the he can't love the library that much. So I always thought, like, what if that was a real thing for him, the Alice thing, and that, you know, he had to, not for the reasons of like some good versus evil battle, but just from the standpoint of that she chose someone else. He just like had to push that down.
Arts.
Well, his other love, though, Katie, who's not in the books, some people on Twitter were like, no, like the thought of Penny and Julia was like, no.
It's going to be so confusing. Like, she just lost the physical, like, presence of him. Like, her Penny can't really come back because he doesn't really have a body to come back to. And now he's going to always be macking on somebody who's kind of become, like, her best friend in the past, like, half a season.
Best friend?
They are so friendly with each other.
What world?
Look, here's my theory. Katie's the kind of girl who's not very comfortable with the idea of friendship. Like, Katie's like, look, if we're banging, I can maybe, like, get on your emotional wavelength. But other than that, she's very much a loner. She's had to take care of herself for a very long time. Most of my friends are like that. Like, it's just me and them. We don't have a lot of friends. It's like, we close each other off, but, you know, so we're mean and we're kind of, like, angry all the time, but there's love there. You just have to look for it. That's how I feel like Katie and Julia is. Like, Katie's like, I don't really know how to open up to people. Julia's like, I'm just going to be patient and let you be as angry as you need to be, and we're going to get through it together. This is how I see their relationship. They're best friends. They're just not aware of it yet.
Are you usually angry at each other? Like, isn't the Julia-Katie conflict quite deeply about betrayal?
Yeah.
I don't,
are you really friends if you haven't betrayed each other?
I don't know. What world you live in?
I'm with you, Arjun. I'm like, what?
I just think people hurt each other, and if you guys are open about that hurt up front, then like later it's just much easier to deal with and parse out.
Adrian, you and I are both making the same face. Like, what?
Anyway, so I didn't mean to derail your point.
No, you're fine. Actually, speaking of betrayal, how was that having Marina come back?
I did not realize I missed her.
You were like, wait, who's that?
I was like, this face is familiar. And then I'm like, oh my God, Hedge Witch extraordinaire.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's funny. She's super funny, and I like this version of her.
I like her
less
better.
Like stab, kill, and more like, how do we get out of this?
She's a little bit more of a planner. I feel like this version or timeline 23, everyone's a little bit more of like, I'm gonna plan things out.
Yes, less spontaneous people.
They're like less spontaneous.
Yes.
Yeah, because as Arjun said, like they've been through some shit, so everyone's a little bit more meticulous in how they handle things.
Yeah.
It was nice to have her back. I think it was also nice that it didn't drag out the fact that Julia was semi-responsible for timeline 40, Marina's death. And that she just kind of told her up front. Because that's
I like how they talked about that. That was great.
I wouldn't have wanted to have dealt with that.
They're kind of like, this is complicated. So real quick, so letting you guys know about another awesome podcast out there. So we're talking a heavy note, but you want to have fun, learn, and grow in all areas of your life. For those of you who do, we've got a podcast for you. Conversations with Maria Menounos Podcast Edition is hosted by our AfterBuzz TV founder and drops every Friday on iTunes. Conversations with Maria Menounos features celebrity and influencer interviews along with secrets and tips on how to be better in all aspects of life, from health and wellness to career and relationships, finances, and more. Let our Maria be the big sister you never had. Just go to iTunes and subscribe to Conversations with Maria Menounos for free. Be sure to rate and comment, and when you do, let Maria know it was us who got you there. Conversations with Maria Menounos Podcast Edition, check it out. It's like a little tongue twister for myself there.
Yeah.
I was like, sorry there. Actually, thing that was something complicated, how much did we enjoy Josh talking with himself?
I was just like, oh, what's that quickening all about? Like,
I know. And Penny didn't tell him. I felt Penny knew and didn't tell him.
I mean, maybe Penny knows, but Arjun doesn't know.
I don't know. Yep. But that's kind of an interesting question. If you could talk to yourself, because the thing with the two Joshes talking, they were kind of essentially comparing their lives, and it's a way to like confront yourself and the decisions you've made, and it's outside of yourself instead of just talking to yourself.
I wouldn't have any interest in talking to like a current timeline version of me. I'd have more interest in like one from the future. Or being able to encounter one from the past. Like,
talking to my child self would be really great. Like, that's peak. Like, hey, little Joelle, like, here's some issues you're gonna face. Like, here's what you need to do. When you get this teacher, try that. Like, I would just give them all the clues to, like, get ahead in life. That'd be totally great.
Yeah.
I don't think I could meet future self. That would give me a lot of anxiety. Because then I'm like, is that inevitable? Do I have to do all kinds of different things?
Well, it depends on what timeline I'm meeting future self from.
Yeah.
Like,
different ones.
We're
If
also
it's-
hopping timelines. Okay.
Yeah, if it's like, I guess if I met a different timeline me, because I've actually like even like have an outline of a script about a woman who ends up being able to jump into other versions of herself's bodies and inhabit them for a while. And don't steal that from me, people.
I was
but
like,
anyways,
there's Jet Li's one.
oh, right? Yeah. Well, is that what
I was
that
going to
is?
say, would you try
Sort
to
of.
become the one?
No, it's not like that.
It's sort of, but not really.
It's not like that. It's comedy. It's
Yeah.
comedy. But like, it would be something of. It could be really either infuriating or heartbreaking.
Sure.
Like, so if I run into a version of me and she's like really successul in any arena of her life, that could be slightly infuriating. It would just be like,
Right, and you kill
Wow,
her
yeah.
and you take her place, right?
There you go. Arjun, if you can. So,
Well, I
Arjun,
think
That Joelle,
would you talk to a other timeline or other past or present version of yourself, if you could?
I would talk to past.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely talk to past. To just kind of give past Arjun a hug. You know,
yeah.
I feel like that's what I think everyone should do to their inner child.
Mm-hmm.
Is go ahead and be like, yo, man, you all right? You
Yeah.
all right? Timeline wise, I mean, it'd be cool just because it'd be cool.
Yeah.
But it might be a little bit of a mindfuck. I think that it was cool the way they wrote this thing for Josh though, because it's been great to see. Josh was kind of just like this comedic device for a long time, and now that like, especially in 9 and 10, and then now in 11, we're getting to really see him grow.
Yeah.
And him have a bit of an arc, and I think that for him to see a version of himself that is, because that character is like deeply insecure and deeply feels alone, and he sees a character who, through maybe faulty ways, but did like start to empower himself. And I think that that's really interesting, an interesting gift for Josh to receive. So I thought it was really cool.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Seeing them together was a really interesting conversation, Josh and Josh, of like.
I like the idea of the coat. It's a
Yeah.
more tame version of the kill. It's like, I just want to be, because in
Pass
each other,
it
they
on.
see each other a lot of things that they want. Like, Josh 23 is like, my friends didn't come back for me. And so
Yeah.
obviously, like, you must be the better friend or more loved or,
Yeah.
whatever the case may be. Whereas Josh 40 is like, look at this sweet coat you have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then actually it's interesting too when we have Penny asking Josh about the other timeline. Like,
Right.
and the explanation of like, so you're in the underworld, but you're not really dead, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But I just love that. That's like one of those things I love about this Penny though, is he's so he's really detached. He's not like, he doesn't have like an emotional investment. He's just trying to suss out like what the fuck is going on to see like what how he can do, which is an interesting which is just an interesting difference to me. I mean, the way they do that in episode 12, just like the top of episode 12, the first few minutes are hilarious that way. Yeah.
Okay,
Not to
fine.
be an ass and just tease that like
No,
that.
it's all right. We're
What happened?
I
excited.
just did.
It's okay.
Not a big deal.
So we kind of talked about the crazy of the shade shifting was interesting. Of like, here's mine, and I'm gonna put it in you, and then she's like, Julia's, I've been without my shade, so no big, and give it to you. That was very interesting to see if you could take it out. It kind of reminds me almost of way early back. They did essentially take the juice so they didn't have emotions. So essentially, if you could take your shade out temporarily to not feel, is that something you would ever consider?
No.
No.
Yes.
That could be really bad.
But temporarily. I have control
for
of,
everyone
like,
else.
do I have control of the comings and goings? Could I, like,
You have control. This isn't like...
Yeah, during working hours, let's get rid of that emotion. Like, who has the time? Like, if I could just do 8 hours of pure, like, just get through the work.
Yeah.
And then, like, all right, good, great. I don't have to be mad at my boss. I don't have to be angry at people calling me, interrupting the work. You know, everything's fine. It's just like, yes, let's get it done. Bam. But other than that, no. That's like... I don't know if you guys read Lock and Key, but it's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think that would be really bad for everyone because if I don't have my empathy and like my anxiety and my depression, those I feel like those things are things that kind of like, for better or worse, like kind of ground a lot of people. And if there's a version of me that can remove it, that version of me probably won't take it back. You know, it'll probably be like, nah, like I'm good. I don't need that.
Well, it's kind of like Alice, where Alice is right now, of like post-Niff and Alice.
Yeah.
You're creating the robots that are ultimately going to kill us all, because they're going to realize, like, y'all are, if we detach ourselves from our humanity, which is essentially what that would do, I worry that we would become, like, looking around the world and saying, you guys are doing this so badly.
Yeah. I mean, we already have people like that running around.
That's true.
Doing things, running things.
Yeah.
It's not untrue.
So, yeah, I don't think... I've told my friends, I was like, me in total power, that could just go really badly. Because I'm, like, nice and hunky-dory, but I also have a very, like, vicious side.
Sometimes you gotta let that mean streak fly, just a little bit.
Yeah,
no, it just makes things more interesting when people have more layers.
Like flicking people off in my car and cursing people out is fine.
Hey, yeah.
It's
But any
LA,
more than
it's
that,
just how we drive.
it's dangerous.
So the crazy last little bits that happen is like Q stabbing himself, which we were not terribly surprised.
No.
And then Julia is like, nope, grabbing that shade back. And Marina gets to the other side, and Penny goes with Julia. Arjun, were there any interesting behind the scenes or funny, well, I mean, it seems a little more serious, but any particular moments that stood out while filming this episode?
I mean, yeah, it was ludicrous watching Trevor beat both Josh's. I mean, it was so funny and fun. And there was this amazing guy, Kyle, that was this poor dude, not poor dude. I mean, he was an amazing, he memorized both sides of the scene. And anytime that like Trevor would have to go and change and put on a coat or change and then come back and shoot that. And Kyle would run in and be the other Josh. And it was really, I mean, he navigated that really well. I mean, it's a difficult position for anyone to be in, because you don't want to start performing necessarily, because you don't want to start to try to take the other person's job, but at the same time you don't want to underperform so that they have something to play off of. It's a very strange thing when you, and I had to do this in episode 4, but we didn't have a double that did anything like that, because I didn't have to interact that much with myself. No, I mean, we have a good time. We always have a good time. Oh, yeah. I forgot about this. There was a song that Josh and, Trevor and Casey, who plays Marina, came up with that had to do with bunnies.
Yeah.
I can't remember what that was right now. But we were singing that a lot. I don't know, man. We're kind of stupid on set.
How was the singing episode? Because that was a fun way for everybody to come together there at the end.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool. I got to be a rock star for a minute. I got to be in a recording studio and sing under pressure. That's not something that's going to happen in my life very often, if ever again. So for me, it was just like, let's have fun with this. But it was strange because I didn't shoot that during the episode 9 block. I shot that during the episode 10 block.
Oh, okay.
So I was just like, everyone, the poor crew had been like listening to that song on repeat over and over. And then they were done, and then they came into the library, and then there was Penny. There was me just like belting out in the library, chained to a cart.
We're going to put you on the spot a little bit. We asked on that episode, if you had to sing a song on the spot, what song would you pick?
What song would I pick right now?
Yeah, like in their situation, there's multiple times in that episode where it's like, you have to start singing immediately. Is there any song that if someone's like, hey, sing a song right now, you'd be like, okay.
Wow, right now, right on the spot. Do you guys know the band Dispatch?
I'm not familiar.
What are they? It sounds really familiar. What's their song?
They used to, they did The General. Take a shower in shiny shoes. You got no time to lose. We are young and you must be living. That was one of their big songs.
Oh, okay.
But there was another song, Out Loud. I don't know. These are songs I used to sing in high school that popped up.
Hey, it's all good.
Yeah.
Adrian and I both said Baby Got Back. You know.
We said The Bad Touch.
Yes,
that was the song
there we
we
go.
said. Mm-hmm.
So,
And know the Road by Boyz II Men.
Yeah.
Because,
Nice.
you got it. And you can get into it. It's good times.
and any other final thoughts from you guys?
The chat has a really interesting theory. With the appearance of Hades last week, and Persephone being the one who gave the powers, our god powers. If you guys know catch up on your mythology, they are together in the underworld. They create babies.
Less
What's
willingly
happening?
on Persephone's part.
They are together in the underworld. So people are wondering, like, what kind of correlations is this drawing? Does this make her their child in some way? And Hades says it last episode, like, hey, magic is just a carrot that the gods dangle to get humans to do things. So with the reveal of this door, the fact that some crazy things might be entering, did the gods do all of this, especially with the key and the clock, to get that door open? And if so, Cthulhu monster or what? And finally, they want to know if Hades is interested in just Penny 40 or if Penny 23 plays into his plan at all as well.
That was a lot.
That's a lot.
That's just the last question.
Yeah.
I think
If you can comment, because some of this I bet
Yeah.
you can't say too much, but.
Well, some of this I don't have a fucking clue. Because we're pretty much towards the end of the season, so my list of spoilers are drawing smaller and smaller because they're in the room right now figuring out episode 4. The whole Greek, it was interesting, the whole mythology thing. It was only until I was reading Twitter that I realized if you eat something in the underworld, you're stuck there. I was like, oh, didn't know that.
We did notice that with the cupcake.
that's also a Leftovers reference about don't have anything to eat or drink, or you'll still be stuck here. You'll forget who you are.
So I think that the Hades Persephone stuff is really interesting. I think we're just exploring that right now. I think it was interesting, Hades is set up in episode 10 as kind of like this benevolent, kind of wise creature that's helping Penny, at least from my vantage point, right?
Yeah.
At least on our show. But then in episode, I was about to spoil something.
Well, Hades is always bad.
Because I also
know
watched
that.
episode 12 just now, like right before we got on. So I'm a little, but we find something out about him in episode 12 that then starts to make you wonder, like, yo, is this dude good or is he maybe not good? So then it becomes an interesting question as to like where is Penny and like where is he going? Does Penny 23? I don't know, man. I don't really know how this timeline stuff works, to be honest.
It's all
so
good.
I'm not really sure. I'm excited for the prospect of Penny 23 meeting Penny 40.
Yes.
That would be a really fun day.
Yeah.
I think it'd be great for Penny to meet another Penny and be like, dude,
I think
we need to chat.
But I will say this. I can tell you this. The stuff that Hades is talking about, it doesn't really relate to the stuff that's happening with the door.
Okay. Cool.
I can tell you that there's some separation there.
I used to be a big Greek mythology, like not buff, but like fan when I was a kid. And the one thing I took out of all of it was like, oh, you should trust no gods in Greek mythology. like you trust
pretty much
none of them. They all have like their own selfish intentions. And then I also, and this is kind of morbid, because I do like Penny 23, but I was also like, oh, well, that's like
it's a perfect
body.
Yeah.
Let's do some quick predictions because that was something I was thinking as well. So we'll do some predictions, though you can't really chime in, but you can try to keep your poker face while we say predictions.
I'm very bad at that.
Yeah, it's all right. So I was piggybacking off what you just said. As soon as Penny's like, I'm going back, I'm like, well, they could merge. I don't know exactly how that would work in terms of, would it be a takeover? Would it be a merger?
Yeah.
Would it be, I don't know what, but I thought the exact same thing. I'm like, well, it's a convenient Penny body coming to our world.
Yeah, that's not something that I just could ignore. I was like, oh, well, that makes sense. Or even with Marina, I was like, well, if her soul is just kind of like toiling wherever it's toiling,
Yeah.
she got shredded as well.
Yeah.
Like these are.
I'm gonna say this to y'all. Y'all are missing some shit about Penny 2040's story though. Y'all aren't really thinking about like his real story yet.
Well, I'm just saying like a general like a thought that I had when it came to the introduction of Penny 23. Now I don't necessarily think that, especially because we kind of know that Penny 40 is kind of on this track in the Underworld Library, and that he might be venturing into becoming more of a librarian and just exploring what that life would be. I'm just saying that that's something that it was a carrot that was dangled, and I was like, I wonder if anyone's going to grab that. So it's not necessarily that I think it's something that will happen, but I just thought it was interesting to.
Also, in the chat has been talking about it. They're like, something feels off. Like we know only what he's told us. Nobody else seems to be really up on his storyline. So he's our one person that we can go to. We know he lost Julia, but like, to what extent does that play with his arc? Now Arjun's got me thinking over here. Like, what can we trust P23? I don't know.
Dean Fogg did say that everyone but Alice died in
sure
timeline
as
23.
hell did.
And I remember when he said that, I just remember kind of like looking over and being like, but Penny. Because I rewatched the episode and I was like, he did say that, but Penny.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah. So it's just something that kind of
Yeah, but Dean Fogg's drunk, man. Like, what?
Or high.
He said that when he was sober. He said that back in season 2 when they did the first Tesla flexion.
Yeah. Cool. Did you guys have any other thoughts and predictions or
from the chat,
comments?
Leo Lima says, I think that she's gonna sacrifice herself to become the new fountain of magic, like the one that the Beast was drinking from in season 1. Julia.
Julia's gonna say.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's the deal she's gonna make, maybe.
Okay.
I like it. I'll deal with it.
And for Arjun, we're pretty much at the end of the time, but is there any comments on this season, your experiences, funny memories, anything you want to share for Magicians up to episode 11?
No, it's been a joy to get to do it for a third year. You know, we're lucky. Not a lot of shows get to do 3 years, and you get to sit in a character and get to sit in a world. And like I said, I mean, you know, the writers have gotten to play more. I feel like they're just able to like let loose more, as you guys are witnessing. I think that the section in episode 8 that was all without sound was one of the most beautiful things that I've gotten to be a part of. Even though I wasn't even a part of that section, but it was just such a beautiful political moment of representation, which I really appreciated. No, I mean, it's just always a thank you to everyone that watches, you know, and supports and is so passionate and you know, the show means a lot to people, and when we as artists hear that, it's really inspiring and humbling and gets us to go work harder. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm going to pull your jacket away from your mic there.
Pull, the jacket collar. Yeah, right there.
There you go.
Bad, y'all.
It's all right. We're getting up close and personal.
We're good to go. Thank you.
Yeah. And then, congrats on season 4. We're looking forward to that as well. And then, do you have any current projects you can let us know about?
Yeah, well, this movie I did in India called The Hungry, it was a joint UK-Indian production. It's an adaptation of Titus Andronicus. It's really fun and brutal and a very different kind of Indian film than you might have seen in your life. It's going to be at IFLA, which is in LA, on April 13th. It's going to be at the New York Indian Film Festival in May, and it's also, you can watch it anytime on Amazon Prime. I know all y'all got Prime because you want that free shipping. So y'all can get on that Prime, and it's free. It's an hour and a half. Check it out. Cool. You know, if you're interested for something different in your life, check it out. It's fun. Yeah,
I was pleased to see you all over the IFLA trailer. You're in it a few times.
Yeah, it's a really incredible story.
Nice.
Drop that title one more time for people just catching up.
Yeah, sure. It's called The Hungry.
Nice.
Great. And then real quick, if people aren't already following you online, where can they find more info on you?
They can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Arjun Gupta BK, ARJUN GUPTA BK.
Awesome. And thank you so much for Skyping in. It's been a pleasure to talk with you again. We love you on the show.
Always.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and we're going to sign off so we can finish off. And thank you again.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, guys.
Sleep
Have a
well.
good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Awesome. So another fun episode. We only have like 2 more to go, which is crazy.
Yeah.
12 and 13. Oh my goodness. Thanks again to Arjun for joining us. It was real fun to talk with Penny and get some other kind of questions and things that were like, okay, wait, we want to know more. Any other final thoughts on the episode before we sign off?
I like that the chat said that Arjun was just trying to throw us off their holding steadfast to their Hades/door connection theory.
All right.
I really appreciate you guys for going in. I'm going to believe
still think
Arjun. I feel like he,
Well, Hades is just your like manager level god, and then there are titans, and people always sleep on them titans. Titans are no joke.
They're the parents of the
They're
gods.
the parents.
Yes.
And they will mess up your life.
Yes.
And they will make it not exist anymore.
I really like the idea of the Titans being the ones on the other side of the door.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Particularly because, we know that they came here, they turned off magic. We know that how they view their second tier gods, the, children. So the idea of the Titans punishing the gods through the humans is kind of poetically just and very interesting. So I wouldn't mind.
Yeah,
seeing
because
that.
it's like the children. It's like the parents taking away the children's toys.
Yeah. Well, great. This episode's been fun coverage. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in for Magicians After Show. Where can everybody find you all online?
You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Adrian Snow. You can also catch me on Produce Table Read on Friday mornings on Popcorn Talk. And if you're an LA local and you like improv, I just joined the UCB mess hall team.
Yeah!
So now I'm certified funny. So you can catch me there on Sunday nights.
She's hella talented. Check her out. I'm Joelle Monique. You can find me all over the internet at Joelle Monique and every week at blackgirlnerds.com. And, stay tuned on that Instagram for some more Ready Player One stuff coming up soon.
Sweet. I'm checking that out next week. I'm excited.
I'm also excited.
My name is Kari Lane. Thank you so much for joining us. You can find me online at Kari D Lane. That's KARIDLANE. And please comment down below your thoughts on the episode. And did you have any theories and thoughts of while we were talking with Arjun of is he like keeping that poker face, or are we getting some interesting insight to the last couple episodes? Thank you again so much for watching, and then we'll see y'all next week.
Bye.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
All of the light.
Why are you watching if you're gonna go? And I'm like, but her story's cool. It's neat to see.